Have you decided to rent your home as a vacation rental? Here is a step-by-step guide for real people with real lived-in homes to make it easy. If you followed us on our last video, me and my partner are planning on going to Europe and renting out our home in the meantime on a vacation rental platform. Yeah, but there's lots of work to be done for sure. But a long-term or a short-term rental property can be all kinds of things, especially on the Airbnb platform. They're famous for having things that are as unusual as a yurt, or it can be a bunkie or a space above your garage. It can be just one single room in a house, or a basement apartment, or an entire house. We are doing our entire house. So I hope you find this checklist helpful. It's going to begin with the worst and ugliest and most expensive topic, repairs. First thing I suggest is you get a pad and a pencil and go together with your partner or whoever you're doing this, or by yourself, and make a list in every room of things that need repair, things that we've forgiven ourselves for, and we have no issue living with this stuff. But man alive, people who rent your place and they're paying good money for it, they care. And the stars you get at the end of the stay are so vital to making the next one even smoother, and maybe even making a little bit more money, who knows. But let's start with the repairs. Have a look at things like baseboards, window trim, even light switches. It's amazing to me how many people's light switches through their house are cracked from tightening that screw just a little bit too much, or they don't match, or they're old and yellow looking. They're the cheapest thing in the world. In Canada, for 99 cents, you can get a nice new plain white one. Just switch them all out, make them look nice and fresh. It makes a big difference. How is the handle? How are the door handles on all of the bedrooms in your house? Are they working? Are they shaky? Are they mismatched? Are they scratched? Some are black, some are gold, some have, I don't know, you just have to push the door and it doesn't latch shut at all. In the winter, our bedroom doors, it doesn't want to latch shut at all. I don't know why, but let's make sure in every room that's working. Even the handle on the closet door is working. The closet door is not hanging off the hinges. The floor isn't squeaky. Maybe you can't do anything about it. Maybe it adds character to an old house. I don't know. Really take a step back and have a look from the perspective of a guest. Looking through the rest of the house, unfortunately, you have to also check all those appliances. I know this is an expensive thing, but look in the fridge. If it has an ice maker, does the ice maker work? Does the stove have a warming oven? Some of us don't even realize we have a warming oven. It's just a drawer where we put all our junk. But make sure every element on the stove works. The time is set right. The microwave, the washer dryer, the dishwasher, everything must be in working condition. And I urge you not to spend too much on replacing these items if they need replacement. Secondhand, refurbished, there's so many options that are much cheaper. The items you pick do not have to be modern. Some people prefer to rent something old. I've been looking for an old apartment in Germany somewhere with the original vintage furniture and vintage appliances and vintage everything, even the door handles and those old skeleton keys. That's super cool. So you don't want to modernize everything. So repair things like railings that are shaky. That's of course a safety issue, so you're going to want to do that. And make sure that there aren't loose deck boards on your deck in the backyard. Your hot tub, if you have one, is working. The pool pumps, the pool heaters, whatever the case is. Everyone has different little toys in their house. Make sure it's all working. Light bulbs is one of these things. It's a pet peeve for me when people have missing light bulbs in their house, or one is white color, one is warm color. Just make them all the same. Everything just flows together and it looks right. Otherwise, that one room that has the white, bright white light will stand out like a doctor's office. The front door lock is critical, absolutely mandatory. I used to be a real estate agent. I can't believe how many people's front door locks absolutely did not work. And maybe they got used to how hard they had to push against the door, or how they had to first turn it to the left 3 times and then I don't know, but maybe you had to push it in really hard, or maybe just pull it out a little bit, but make that front door lock work. It has to function. I would highly recommend even getting keyless entry, because that just removes that whole issue, and you can change the code for the keyless entry when they leave, which is fantastic for your own safety and peace of mind. The toilet. Let's not forget the toilets. The drains, we're not even talking about the cleaning yet, but make them function. We have a toilet in our basement. You had to hold that handle down like a good solid 10 seconds. And then you're not even really flushing very well. Toilets are not an expensive thing, and getting a nice new clean one would be a really good idea for a vacation rental property. Also make sure the drains are clear, whether it's the bathtub or whether it's the sink, whatever the case may be, they are flowing and they're clean and they're not smelly. Second thing is decor upgrades. So we are looking to achieve a look that most people would find comfortable and appealing. So if you have polka dot shower curtains, I don't think I would sleep that night if I had polka dot shower curtains. I like everything white and crisp, so I'm already halfway there, but just, it doesn't hurt to have a new shower curtain anyway now and again. Make it a little bit more minimalistic, if that's the right word, a little more neutral. Switch that up. Switch up your bed sheets, for goodness sakes. Throw out those old ones or save them for when you come back home. But for guests, you should have quality, comfortable, clean, fresh. The colors, whatever works with your scheme, but keep it relatively neutral. Make sure they have a bit of a thread count, spend a few extra bucks for the thread count. Make sure you have newer pillows and a second set of alternative pillows in the cupboard with nice new covers. I also recommend mattress protector, pillow protector for obvious reasons. So it's the same thing with towels in the bathroom. We don't want to have old towels that have gone through the laundry 1,500 times, and they used to be black and now they're really more kind of gray. No, this is not what you leave for your guests. And I'm not just talking 2 towels. We've all been in a hotel room where, why do they give me 2 towels? And they're not even big enough to go around the circumference of my body. So, don't cheap out on this stuff. This stuff is appreciated by guests. It really is. Bath towels, hand towels, face cloth. Let's do it. Replace it, change it out. Also in decor is artwork. If you have expensive artwork, no. Let's just put away anything that's expensive and replace it with something, it doesn't have to be expensive to be pretty nice. Also, if you have one of those old lazy boy chairs like on Frasier, if you're my age, you know what show I'm talking about. That chair needs to go. Yeah, don't have to, again, buy expensive furniture, just clean and comfortable, neutral. Something that the guests will be happy to sit in without thinking, wow, there hasn't been a whole lot of effort put into this piece of furniture. Let's not do that. Okay, so in the kids' rooms, let's get rid of all that stuff on the walls, whether they have posters or whatever. They've painted weird art on the walls. That's got to go. Maybe they're gone. Hopefully your kids are gone. Otherwise, you probably wouldn't be thinking of doing this with your property, right? So if you're in the same boat as we are, it's time to make that a neutral guest room. Now we're going to talk about functionality. This is the kind of stuff that you might not even think of. But things like, where are they going to put the garbage? At the moment, we walk into our side door of our garage and there's recycling and garbage bins there. It's in from the outdoors. There's shovels, there's all that stuff that you have in a garage. So in our particular situation, our neighborhood has no visible garbage outside of their properties. So if you want to have it tucked away, but you don't want them to access everything in your garage, maybe your car is even in the garage, which is fine. You can lock it up. How about creating a space, like my partner's going to make a faux wall, like a wall that, like with hinges, that we can just stand up so that they have access to water hose, a bucket, rake, shovel. I don't think we'll be renting in the winter, but who knows? And the garbage. So that's all they can access. So that's an important issue that you might want to work through, how that best works for your space. How about consider adding a sofa bed somewhere? If you have a big basement space and you can add room for 2 more guests, you can make so much more money. But some people don't want to have too many guests in their house. I understand that too, because then you kind of get that party vibe that you want to avoid. I get it. How about closet space? Do the guests have enough space in every room for their clothes? And if there's not a closet, add a wardrobe or a rack, like a clothes rack. You can get them secondhand very inexpensively. 20 bucks, you can probably get a nice size clothes rack. A chair, it's nice to have a chair that they can throw their whatever, over their pants over. That's how I deal with my clothes at the end of the day. Make sure there's sufficient parking for your guests. Are there 2 cars coming? Is there just 1 car coming? Will they know where to park? It depends if they're sharing a space with other people, or if the whole place is for them and it's obvious the driveway is for them. But if it's not obvious, like it's a farm property or an apartment, make sure they know exactly where their parking spot is. Make sure that entranceway is clear and well lit. Even for parking, if they come in the night, a motion sensor light might be useful, but around the entrance door, something a little prettier but functional, that they can see that they're not wrestling with a lockbox. Lockboxes work too, but not everyone knows how to use a lockbox. So if you decide to use a lockbox, I would put a little image when you send them a mail after their reservation is confirmed. Send them a little image of how the lockbox works, a mini video perhaps. But if you ask me, it's much easier to do the keyless entry. It's easier for everyone. Please do not send them to a secondary location where they have to drive and bring their luggage. We once had to walk through Italy. I think it was Barcelona, Spain, that's Spain. We had to walk through Barcelona with our luggage for hours because we had to find a place that held the key. And then we got back to the house and we couldn't even figure out how to make the door handle work, because this is Spain and this was a historic building that was hundreds of years old. The 3 of us could not figure out how the door handle worked. And that's a little ridiculous, so don't let that happen. The last point in this category of functionality is houseplants. You'll see behind me my favorite Schefflera plant is lovely, and I've taken a long time making it as healthy and happy as it is, but your house guests aren't going to care about your plants. So it might be a good idea to have a family friend or something look after your plant and replace it with an artificial plant, so they're not going to be all dead when you got back. We're going to move on to the category of gardens and property. You might have considered whether to hire a company to mow your lawn. I think that's what we're going to do. I don't yet know how much it costs, but I don't think it's terribly much, and that your guests don't have to worry about the responsibility of mowing a lawn. I would also recommend, if you have time, to plan the garden a little bit lower maintenance than it might be now. I usually plant a lot of flowers that need water every day. And if they didn't have water every day, I would come home and they'd be dead. We don't want that for your guests either. They don't want to look at a garden full of dead flowers if they're not looking after the watering. So think it through. Shrubs don't need any care at all. And there's a lot of perennial type bushes and flowers and things that really just look after themselves, and they rely on the rain, and they're happy with just that. So if you can pre-think that, it's a little bit more practical for your guests. In the same category, make sure that your house number is actually there. Some people have no house number, and some people in the rural areas just have little kind of lit up illuminated lights at the end of their mile-long driveway for emergency purposes. But whatever the case may be, make sure your guests can find your property. If you have to make a sign saying, hey, this is Hoffman's Hideaway this way, we'll do that. We don't need them to be frustrated and upset before they even enter the door. Okay, the next one is my favorite topic. It's minimizing. Ask anyone who knows me. I'm a minimalist. I don't have anything around that doesn't have to be around. Even if I have 2 spoons that don't match, they're out the door. Feels great, and I'm going to do another video on that one day. But you really have to get there for an Airbnb or VRBO property. You have to minimize all of your personal things. And you might wonder, where am I putting all of these things? But most houses have a space in the basement that is a utility room, or maybe an extra bedroom if only 2 people are staying in your house and they don't need that extra bedroom. You can put a sign on the door saying owner's property, do not enter, or you can put a lock on it. That works too. But just get a bunch of bins. I guarantee you're not going to fill more than 5, 6, 7 bins full of stuff just to tuck things away. And as you're going through it, it's a nice way of minimizing while you're at it. You might find that you don't ever want to bring that stuff back out when you come back. But yes, go through your kitchen and eliminate all those mismatched plates and bowls that have been there for years. Your mom's old china set. Nobody needs that, like, ever. How about, I have a lot of beer glasses that have so many chips in them. Out you go. And if you don't want to throw them away, tuck them away for yourself for another time. But guests really just need maybe I'm going to assume you're going to have 2 to 4 guests, let's say. You're only going to need maybe 2 or 4 wine glasses, a couple of beer glasses, some nice china mugs. Rid of those Toronto Maple Leafs mugs or the We Love Dad mugs. Out the door. No, 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 no. And add a few larger ones because I always find that they're too small for me. We Canadians like our big, supersized coffees. Also, utensils in the drawer. I bet you we have 200 utensils in our drawers. We really only need less than 10, guaranteed. So get rid of all those ones that look, I don't know, some of the plastic stuff should be tossed anyway. Buy some nice new silicone ones, some flippers, some strainer, whisks, big serving spoons, whatever. You know the drill. You know what you really, really need. And guests appreciate it if you've thought of everything. Like opening a wine bottle. Are they going to be able to take a cork out? Do you have a can opener for them? Are your butcher knives sharp? Do you have a cutting board, a salad bowl, a chips bowl, a cereal bowl? There's so many things. And also include things like plastic wrap or parchment paper, aluminum foil, maybe a few pieces of that massive pile of Tupperware you have, just a few of the good ones. They will appreciate that they can put their leftovers in something. Some nice pots that are clean, 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 clean. Frying pans might be a good time to swap some of those out, especially Teflon's not good for you anyway. But yeah, just a couple different sizes. That will go a long way. I think I mentioned a strainer, a container for if people buy milk bags, they need to be able to put them in one of those container things, or if they want to drink juice, some nice water glasses. Think of all those details. I also like to leave a few seasonings, just the basics, leave them behind, a little container full of sugar. Nobody ever took it home with them in the past, in my past house. Sometimes if you have a nice espresso machine or something like that, you can leave a little bit of startup. I don't know if they come in pods. I'm not an espresso drinker. I don't think it comes in pods, but the Nespresso comes in pods. So if you leave a couple there in a little basket, maybe people appreciate that. Hey, we can have a few today. We have time to go grocery shopping tomorrow, but on arrival day, it might be nice for them just to have a few. The bathroom is stocked with lovely towels, a starter bar of soap, maybe a little shampoo and conditioner like they would have in a hotel. I've been known to bring those home with me for my vacation rentals, and they're very handy, but make sure they match or it looks really, really tacky. Like some extras that you might add in your place to give a little bit of creativity is games, cards, books. And I have to address, before we move on to the next topic, I have to address that junk drawer in the kitchen we all have. That whole thing's got to go. Just dump that whole thing. Leave it empty. Leave some placemats in there. Maybe some napkins. Maybe pot holders. That would also be critical. And some nice, clean kitchen towels. Also leave a little bit of toilet paper. You don't have to leave 10 rolls in every bathroom, but at least 2, I would say. People know that they have to get their own after that. You're not coming in to refresh stuff on a daily basis. They might be renting for a month. They know they go out and buy their own. They go out and buy their own laundry detergent, but you might just give them a little, if you can find a miniature Tide, that would be so cute. I would leave that and they'd be appreciated, right? Because they might just do one load the whole time they're there. Who knows? Let's talk about a coffee maker. In my opinion, I have never had a good cup of coffee in a hotel room. So let's just elevate this a little bit because we care about our guests, right? A decent coffee maker that's a pour over or it's a percolator or an espresso, something a little bit better than what you find in a hotel room would be lovely. And if it needs filters, just leave them a couple of filters. But it doesn't hurt to give that extra little touch. Now we're going to talk about cleaning. Oh, we're getting to the end now, but this is the part that happens just before you're about to vacate your house, isn't it? But some things you can get ahead on. And I need you to look outside of the box, not just the regular cleaning. Look for things like handprints around light switches, or around corners of walls where people always go by. When you start looking, oh gosh, the kickboards in the kitchen for me are a big shocker. When you go down there and have a look, go down on your knees and have a look at the kickboards. It's not a good scene, but it's also vital that your appliances are spotless. The stove's a toughie, but It's vital, it's absolutely vital to make them spotless. Even things like the lint thing, the lint catcher thing in your dryer. Nobody wants to open a dryer and somebody else's lint is in there. So I'm trying to think of things that are outside of the box, like windows inside and out, and even the ridges where the windows run along. The patio door, I find I can barely open and close my patio door if that track on the bottom isn't clean. Take the time, it's vital. You're outside, your deck is swept, everything is swept that they're walking up, the patio they're walking up, the grass is cut, there's no weeds in the lawn, the door handle, the door, when they walk in the door, look at your door. When's the last time you cleaned the door from the outside? When's the last time you cleaned the cobwebs that were hanging around the door from the outside? It's time. This is very, very important. Let's make everything spick and span. I don't even have to mention the bathroom. There is no level of clean that's enough in a bathroom. Here's one you might not have thought of. The garbage cans you leave behind, please wash them on the inside and the outside. The garbage cans, even in your garage, clean them, hose them down inside and out. The last thing I want to share with you in this video is a binder. Leave a binder behind of all kinds of information, whether it's about local attractions, restaurants that you recommend in the neighborhood, whether it's on how to use your dishwasher, on how to turn on your TV. Because again, if you come from a different country, don't assume people know how to do this. I was with my daughters once in Verona and we had this thing that looked like a washing machine, but it was a mystery to me because there was no dryer, but there was some kind of a rinse cycle with tumbling. There was a binder of information, but the binder was for some other piece of equipment and we never figured out how to dry our clothes. So don't assume that people know how to use these appliances from other countries, especially put some information with images and photos into a binder to help them with absolutely everything. How to turn on your TV, which remote is for which remote, how your oven works, how your gas fireplace works. There's so many things. And if they're having trouble with the front door lock, how they might deal with that, how your hot tub works, if it needs chemicals, or how to turn on and off the jets. There's an endless amount of information that needs to go into this binder. Make sure they have information on the Wi-Fi password and make that private. I don't really know how to do that, but I'll find someone who does, and that they have good Wi-Fi, and let them know how much Wi-Fi they have. It's also smart to put that in your advertisement to begin with, because there's a lot of people out there that are doing remote work and they need really good Wi-Fi. So if you got great Wi-Fi, brag about your Wi-Fi. This is where also you leave clear instructions on exiting and what is expected of them when they exit. Whether it is please remove all garbage into the garage, or leave the house in a broom swept condition, pull the sheets off the beds, whatever it is that you require. I personally would never require them to clean my whole house. I want them to leave here happy, not exhausted and annoyed by what they have to do in the last minute. So I do have a whole video on how to elevate your Airbnb or your VRBO, whatever the case may be, to another level that blows people's mind and that gives you 5 stars every single time. I love doing it, and I love sharing it. Enjoy this. It's super fun and it's very rewarding when you're trying to make a comfy, warm space for your guests to be. So if you enjoyed this content, please like this video and stick with us. Watch us go through our journey as we are preparing our house for hightailing it to Europe.